I'm going to talk to you guys about a really important topic and something that's really near and dear to me, which is the transformative power of kindness. And I want to talk to you about the journey that I took to help launch a company with a singular focus of trying to be the world's kindest company. And those two things typically don't go together, but I'm going to show you how they do come together. Let me start by telling you a story. In 1990, I graduated from the Kellogg School, already having had an undergraduate degree from Stanford. And I graduated from business school feeling ready to rule the world. I was 27 years old, and I started my career in advertising. And I was super excited about it. And I had a chance to work on a pitch for one of the biggest clients. And though I was a young guy, they gave me the chance to work on that pitch. And I worked on it. And I worked on it day and night for 4 straight weeks. 8 all-nighters. Many of you students here know that feeling. And I was so proud. Do you know that feeling when you're working really hard on something and it's a total pain? And then all of a sudden it starts to become something that you own, and then it becomes the most precious thing in the world to you because you've etched that stone. And I was loving every single thing about that pitch presentation. And the night before the pitch, the night before we were going to fly out to California, my boss's 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 boss came into my little cubicle and said, "Hey Mark, I'm sorry, you're not going to the pitch. Ted's going to go instead. You're too junior. You've never been in a pitch, you're untested, so Ted's going to go because he's more senior." I said, "Ted doesn't know anything about the content or the client. I've done all the work." "Well, that's not how we do it here," he said. "He's going, he's more senior, like it or lump it." In that moment, I discovered 2 things about myself. And 2, that I was going to make a list of every time someone was unkind to me. I didn't know what I was going to do with that list, but I knew that I was going to make that list because I felt that bad. I felt that bad about that moment. And I was so frustrated. So I started keeping that list. That list grew too long. Yelling, screaming, excluding people from meetings when they did the work, demeaning people in front of others, attacking the person instead of the idea. Day after day, I just saw examples of incredible unkindness. And it started to make me overwhelmingly sad because that list was really long. I needed a second and then a third notebook. And so I really noticed a trend. I noticed that trend that it wasn't just in my company. It was in our culture. And I started to look at what's happening and look at what's happening now. There's this tremendous force toward the unkind. You guys know very well, in social media, Yik Yak started as a way to anonymously compliment and praise. And pretty quickly, it became a bully pulpit for criticizing and critiquing and being the meanest, basest kind of person that you can possibly be. And you all here at the Latin community know exactly where that went. Think about reality TV. What does reality TV do? They just highlight the most mean thing that people can do, and they celebrate and praise it. Even other reality TV shows. How many of you watch American Idol? They spend 1 minute on the winners, and they spend 5 minutes on the losers. They love to see people fail because that's what the public wants to see. There's nothing kind in those moments. So even in our culture, I began to see, wow, it is celebrated. Unkindness is celebrated. And that's a terrible thing. But then I also noticed the opposite trend happening. I noticed some goodness happening. I noticed that when you're the least bit kind, amazing things can happen. And in fact, amazing things do happen. Little examples started to sprout up for me all over my life. I fly a lot. I'm a member of the American Airlines Frequent Flyer Program, and I'm the special member called Concierge Key, which is no great thing. It just means I don't see my family that much. Lucky for them, by the way. They have these women that will come and greet you and board you on the plane and make sure you've got the right seat. And every time I fly, 3 of them come to find me. And one day I said, "Hey, Noreen, I'm just curious, you know, there's other people with this status. Why do you guys always come talk to me?" And she said, "Because every time we walk up to the other guys, they're on the phone, and they won't even look at me, and they just say, 'Go get me a coffee.' You, Mark, put your phone down, and you look at me in the eye, and you say my name, and you say please and thank you." So we all look at the list, and when we see that Mr. Landsberg is flying, we all say, "Me, I want to go help him." Such a small thing. I go to a local Starbucks. We all have our baristas. I get their name. I say please and thank you. When I show up in the morning and there's a line of 30 deep, Tahita has my coffee and I cut the line and she won't even take money from me. And I ask you guys, if you think about how many times in your life when the smallest act of kindness yields the greatest return and result. And you're not even doing it because you're looking for the return or the result. You're doing it because it's the right thing to do. And so it really got me thinking, there's this sea of unkindness in the world, but small acts of kindness can yield amazing results. And I started to think about, you know what, I think it's time to do something. I think it's time to actually put a mark down. I'd seen enough of the unkindness in the world. And I decided, who says that you can't be kind and win? And who says that good guys finish last? Who says that good guys can't finish first? Who says that you've got to cut a corner and be mean and cheat and take a shortcut in order to win? Who made that rule? I don't like that rule. So I decided to make a new rule. I think good guys can win. And I personally decided I'm going to start a company to see if it's possible to do something extraordinary in the world led by kindness. Is it possible to move a mountain driven by kindness? Not taking a shortcut, not being mean, not cheating, not demeaning someone else, but being as limitlessly kind as I can possibly be in every moment. So my hypothesis was, I'm going to start a company. And I started Social Deviant. And Social Deviant really only had one premise, which was to be the world's kindest company. I want to be clear about that. Not the fastest growing, not the most profitable, not the biggest startup in the history of Chicago or the world, the kindest company in the world. And it's jarring when you say that to somebody. The why that our company exists is to be kind. What we do is provide social media and content services for our clients, but we exist to be kind. Now what's interesting is, I thought the way to build something kind is it's harder and it takes more time, because I had to do it brick by brick. I started in that same Starbucks. I hired every single person singular-handedly, just me hiring that person. I wanted to choose the clients with whom we work. I wanted to choose our partners. I wanted to choose every single deviant that joined our firm. A lot of people threw money at me. I've had a long career in marketing. Mark, I'll fund you. Here's $5 million. Go buy a company or two. You can run it, scale it faster, and off you go. But I don't want to do that, because I didn't want to take anybody that I hadn't first screened to see if they're limitlessly kind, my kind of person. So my intent was to build an ecosystem of kindness. Because I'll tell you this, when you're really kind, the world can still be pretty unkind. And you're going to run into people that aren't going to treat you the way you treat them. And so you wonder if that hypothesis can stand. You wonder if a kind company can actually win. So I thought, first things first, let's create an ecosystem of incredibly, insanely, intensely kind people. We're going to hire every single person from the get-go. My first employee was somebody that I met in a bar. Right? Not through typical screens. I was coming to visit my wife to surprise her. I quit my job in New York. I was coming back to Chicago to start Social Deviant. I went to surprise her for lunch and she wasn't around. So I went to the bar downstairs. I thought I'd wait it out and just wait for her. I grabbed a beer. It was noon. I was unemployed. You can do that. By the way, as Randall knows, I do that even employed. It's my company. And so the server came and she was lovely and she was so kind. And she just had an aura of kindness. And I started talking to her. Her name was Elizabeth. Turns out she was majoring in marketing. She was at DePaul. She was a quantum physics major as an undergrad, already at DePaul, was now getting a master's in marketing. And she was the kindest person. She kept coming back. She kept using my name. I could just tell she was my kind of person. And I said, Elizabeth, I need to hire you. She's like, wow, do you own a bar? I said, no, I'm starting a marketing firm. You want to get into marketing? Well, what's your company's name? I don't have one. Where's your office? We don't have one. How many clients do you have? 0. All right, I'm in. Because I think she had the same feeling about me that I had about her. You choose people, clients choose people, they buy people, they don't buy companies. You choose talent by their aura and their kindness and the kind of people that they're going to be in the world. And so I really started thinking it's important to start to define kindness our way. Because I quickly realized that when I say kind, if I said to you dictionary definition, all of you would define it in a different way. And what I began to realize at Social Deviant was that people were defining kind as just not disagreeing. Well, I agree, all right, Alex, I may not agree, but I'm not going to say it. Hey, good idea, Alex. And how far does that get a company? Nowhere. Being kind doesn't mean I don't disagree. It just means I attack the idea, not the person. There's a very agreeable way to disagree. So we quickly set out to define kindness our way. It does not mean holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It does not mean go along, get along. It means very specific things. We define kindness as an operating model, as a set of behaviors that would guide our behavior every single day. Think about this in your own lives. Specific behaviors. Culture is what you do, not what you say. We don't have trust falls and t-shirts. We don't need laminated slogans on the wall. Culture is a set of behaviors, kind behaviors, things like being accountable. The dog does not eat your homework. Showing up on time. You're in a meeting, laptops and phone down. Listen carefully, 2 ears, 1 mouth. A very specific set of behaviors that define kindness our way. Not go along, get along. Not just being nice. By the way, not just having the absence of malice. Kind is a purposeful, intentional act, and we were intentional about our culture and the clients that we chose and the way we created value for them every single day. And I began to see the power of kindness to transform. I mentioned earlier, guys, the transformative power of kindness. And I began to see how this can happen, both at a human level and at a company competitive advantage level. And I want to just tell you a couple stories about each. And you can begin to see, as we're building this company, the transformative power of kindness. Everybody here familiar with Random Acts of Kindness Week? So it happens in February. And we did a couple things, and we went to that local Starbucks, and I put my credit card down, and I said, for the next 30 minutes, everybody who buys a coffee or a muffin is on social deviant. And as I watched the line of people, we videoed it, as I watched the line of people, they'd go up, and they'd look up, and then they'd turn around and point at me, and the look on their face was amazing. And several people came up to me, and particularly this one woman, and she was in tears. And she said, you know, what's your name? Mark. You know, Mark, last week my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. And this morning I just found out I lost my job. And I'm a wreck, and I can't even see straight right now. But I always get my coffee. And you buying me that coffee is maybe the kindest thing in this moment that anyone's ever done. And she cried and put her head on my shoulder. And I was thinking to myself, in that Starbucks line, every single person has got a story. Probably not as dramatic as that. But everybody's got a cross to bear. Everybody's got something on their mind. We can't judge them, but we can be limitlessly kind to them. And you never know what the impact of that kindness can be, which means it's never, ever wrong to be kind. You must always be kind in every situation. I saw this example, which was maybe the most telling example that I felt like we were really making something happen. I travel a lot on business. I was in San Francisco. We had a really long day. At the end of that day, I went to the hotel, checked in, I went to the bar, the Broncos game was on, this was just last fall. I was going out to dinner that night, I thought I'll grab a quick hour, a quick beer, get a little bit of email done, go up to my room, shower, and go off to dinner. Well, I did all that, got up to my room, and as soon as I got to my room, I realized I'd left my laptop on the bar counter. Frantic, I raced down to find it, and it was gone. Now, if any of you have ever lost your laptop, it is the worst feeling in the world, especially if the last 2.5 years of your life of starting a business were on that laptop. Every letter, missive, blog entry, every PowerPoint presentation I've ever written was on that laptop. Now, note to self, one disadvantage of going to Stanford is that all your buddies live in the Bay Area, work in Silicon Valley, and if you ask them for help in that moment, they're no help, because they go, dude, hard drive? Have you heard of a thing called the cloud? You know, they're not very helpful or supportive. It was really, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, but whatever, my laptop's gone. I go up to the business center, and I'm immediately with my phone and in the computer in the business center trying to change my passwords, my Insta, my Facebook, my email. I'm just going through my LinkedIn, all of my profiles, my American Airlines, and I just put my head in my hands. I literally, at that moment, I was desperate. And all of a sudden, my phone goes. Did you lose your laptop? Well, immediately text back, yes, do you have it? Silence. Oh, do you have my laptop? Yes. Oh my God, okay. Can I come get it? I'm thinking, weird. 10 minutes pass. Yes. Weird. Okay, where can I come get it? 10 minutes pass. I'm down at AT&T Park, you know where the Giants play. You can meet me there. Kind of weird. So I'm like, oh, okay, Giants aren't playing tonight. 10 minutes later. Each of these lapses is an eternity for me. comes back. I'm hanging out by the bar called Momo. You can meet me there. I quickly Google Momo's. It closes at 10. It's 10:30. I text back, sorry, I think it's closed. I'm waiting outside for you. Weird. So I go down, I'm like, I'm close, but so far. I get down there, and it's dark, and it's weird, and a guy comes out, literally like a movie, from a light, and he's got a backpack. He's got cami, cargo shorts. He's wearing a Giants t-shirt. He's got a bucket hat and Crocs shoes and a backpack. Picture it, 10:30 at night. And he walks up to me, and he says, "You're kind of famous." And I immediately demur and say, no, I'm in marketing, I blog a lot, I've had a long career, you may have seen something I've read. And he says, "Oh, I've seen everything you've read. I spent the last 2 hours looking at your blog and looking at your company site and looking at everything you guys are trying to do. And I think someone who started a company to be the world's kindest company deserves to get their laptop back." And I said, "Oh, well, we certainly would be the kind of company that would return someone's laptop if we found it." And he says, I think that's right. I didn't ask him where he got it, why he had it. That was not the question to ask. He handed me the laptop, and the next thing I knew, he was gone into the night. And I learned a couple things. A, the cloud. Back up. But B, the transformative power of kindness in someone's life. I don't know if that guy did steal my laptop and saw the blog and turned the corner. I think he might have done. And when I began to realize that we were really onto something that could be truly transformative, either in a moment or over the period of a person's life, I think that's really shocking. And we began to see this over and over on a human side. And then I've seen it for social deviant on a competitive side. I can't tell you guys how many emails I get from companies who say, "I've been watching what you guys do. I read your blog, trying to be the world's kindest company. I see us as that kind of company. We should work together. We should do business together." Building that ecosystem where we have aligned vision and values and a sense of our place in the world together is incredibly powerful. One thing that we did last year, at the beginning of this year, we resigned our largest client. Millions of dollars of revenue. We're a startup, and we resigned it. Why? Because they were unbelievably unkind. Nobody at Social Deviant wanted to work with them. And I said, you know what? The rightness of a decision must be separated from the consequences of that decision. We're trying to be the kindest company in the world. They are treating us unbelievably unkindly. We are not going to work together regardless of the size of the revenue that we're handing back. And we handed it back because we have to be principled and we're trying to be kind. And since that day till now, we've won more business, more companies are reaching out to us, we're growing faster than we ever have. The rightness of a decision must be separated from the consequences of that decision. So let's talk about the impact of kindness for each of you. First, I want you to understand that kindness is a multiplier force. If you do it by yourself, it's fine. If you do it with a bunch of others, it's great. If you do it all together, it can move mountains. Kindness really is a multiplier force. You add your kindness to the sum of kindness in the world, in your group, in your classroom, in your community, in your church, in the world. And what's interesting is the impact is disproportionate to the act. I just gave you a few examples, from millions of dollars of revenue to someone returning my laptop, to a free cup of coffee. The impact of kindness is disproportionate to the act of kindness. So practice kindness, make those acts, and watch the kinds of returns on kindness that you get. Hey, Archimedes said, physics majors, right? Give me a big enough fulcrum and I can move the world. It was all about leverage and the principle of leverage. And I've been thinking, like, what is your kindness fulcrum? What is your fulcrum of kindness? For each and every one of you, what is that thing that you want to move with the kindness lever? What is that thing that you can move with the kindness lever? And so as you leave here today, I'm going to ask my trusted assistants, I want you, everybody in this room, to take one of these. George and Grace, just take one of these. And I want you to write down tonight, and Grace, or George got them all. This is how it goes at home, by the way. George listens, Grace just hangs back. That's it. I want each of you to just write down, like, what is the act of kindness? What is the kind fulcrum? What is the mountain you're trying to move? What singular kind thing are you going to do differently tonight, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow that you weren't doing before? What act of kindness can you add? Those are Post-it notes. Stick it on your bathroom mirror, on your dresser, on your closet door, and look at it every day. Do one thing that makes a difference. If you add it all up, it will make a huge difference. I really appreciate your time, and I want to close by saying this. Just remember, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever, ever wasted. Awesome. Thank you, guys.